Hi, I'm Ida Rose Florez. I'm the author of the new book, The End of Education as We Know It, Regenerative Learning for Complex Times. I'm an educational psychologist and a regenerative farmer. I wrote this book for people who know that there is something profoundly off about our current educational systems and who long for a whole new way of doing school, but might not know what that could look like or how to make it happen. In this book, I invite readers to think differently about education and to question the mechanistic ways that we've been taught to think about the world. We need to shift our own thinking in order for us to be able to create vibrant schools for the complex times in which we're living. Education as we know it is filled with schools that are remarkably similar all across the US and across many other countries as well. They're so similar because they're all designed around separating, sorting, and sequencing. We separate children by ages and we sort them by supposed ability. We separate knowledge into subjects. We even separate human development into different domains. All this separating, sorting, and sequencing has made Western educational systems wildly successful at what they were originally intended to do, which was to create a workforce educated just enough to keep industrial capitalism chugging along. When we think about schools, all that separating, sorting, and sequencing just seems to be the way school is supposed to be. But the truth is that industrial education is a very recent blip in the long history of how humans have been educated and raised for millennia. All the separating, sorting, and sequencing has actually nothing to do with how humans really learn. The story of industrial education helped humans learn how to function in a factory. And back when industry needed people to throw switches and assemble items, industrial education was sufficient, not necessarily humane, but sufficient. That era has long passed. We now have an education system that not only doesn't teach humans the way that humans actually learn, but it's also obsolete. Over the last several decades in the US, we've had many reform movements, starting with A Nation at Risk in the Reagan administration, and then of course there was No Child Left Behind in the Bush era, and then there was Obama's Race to the Top. And yet, even with all those investments in reform, we essentially have the same education system in 2025. And the trouble is that industrial education is based on a mechanistic or a machine-based way of thinking about what kids should learn and about what learning actually is. The truth is that authentic learning is one of the most complex phenomena on the planet. Schools are so bogged down in mechanistic ways of thinking when what we really need are people who understand the complexity of how the world works, how the earth works, how societal systems work. The End of Education as We Know It, Regenerative Learning for Complex Times, helps readers rethink what learning actually is from a complexity science point of view, and then provides a framework for how readers can help create regenerative schools in their own communities. I look forward to connecting with readers and having robust and interesting conversations about how we can put these ideas into practice and to create regenerative schools that lead us to a vibrant future on a thriving planet.